Hi there. Welcome to Productivi-Tree. I'm Santi Tacoronte, and I'm here to help you succeed and be happier. In each episode, we'll explore new ways to work smarter, manage your time better, and grow as a person. We'll share fresh ideas, find ways to improve, and help you become your best self at work, in life. Join me as we learn and grow together on Productivi-Tree. I have assessed over 500 executives on their productivity, and the top 10 all have something in common. They score high across 4 specific vectors: efficiency, effectiveness, ownership, and well-being. When these 4 align, you just don't lead better. You create compounding advantages that separate exceptional leaders from good ones. Take my 5-minute free assessment, and you will see exactly how you compare. Most leaders are shocked by what they discover. Find out where you stand at the link below. Today's guest has been at the heart of transformation for over 35 years in IT, including nearly 3 decades at Microsoft, where he now leads customer success for AI, cybersecurity, and leadership across some of the world's largest retail and CPG enterprises. He is a Microsoft GM, industry CISO, LinkedIn top voice, keynote speaker, and a former vice major who has led mission-critical programs like Navy Flank Speed and USAF CHES, all while championing one core belief: technology doesn't transform organizations, leaders do. Get ready for a conversation on leadership, cross-functional impact, and clarity in chaos with Nick Palomba. Nick Palomba, welcome to Productivi-Tree.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk today.
Nick, you lead hundreds of experts across cybersecurity, AI, cloud infrastructure, and every type of work at Microsoft. But what was that made you realize that breaking down silos and cross-functional work was a non-negotiable for your success?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's a lot of people involved in projects, sometimes from all different areas, from the business, from vendors potentially, from internal separate teams. I think the biggest thing that I realized is until we actually have a defined mission statement goal, however you want to classify it, and then when we ask the question, does this really the work that you're talking about doing, changing, or the issue we're having, does it really move forward the ultimate goal? And if we don't have an answer of yes to that, then let's table it for now. I don't want to take us off track because timelines are short, things are expensive to do. So I want to get the most efficiency as quickly as possible.
During COVID-19, you led mission-critical deployments like the Navy Flank Speed and USAF CHES. So you're coordinating military branches, government agencies, Microsoft divisions. What's the first thing that breaks down in cross-functional teams?
So yeah, that was a big team, and there's a lot of people from Microsoft leading that project because it was just such a huge initiative, and from the military side as well because of the time that we needed to do something in. I think what we found there, and I think the military is a little unique in this place, is it's a very top-down leadership perspective, right? We have orders are orders, and that helps you kind of define the message. I think the challenge comes into place when people want something that's different than what we're building, because we have to build something for millions and millions of users, and one want or desire from a place could really take you off track. And I think that's the thing that we really learned is we have to limit the signal to noise ratio on the noise that's coming up and make sure the signals that we're working on are going to be directly for in this case, for people to get online from a virtual environment.
You spent 29 years at Microsoft.
29 and a half. I'm coming up on 30.
Your 30 is coming.
30's coming.
You've been as a deputy CTO, you've led cybersecurity now and customer success. Do you think that cross-functional leadership requires you to sacrifice deep expertise?
Yeah, especially these days in the change that we're seeing in environment, the technical environment, AI, the changes that we're seeing. I don't feel like I could be an expert in everything. And I think people will fail if they think they could be an expert in everything because I read a lot, but then when I go listen to Satya, I'm like, wow, I don't know anything about our products because he is so deep on so many products. And I think you have to come to that realization of, I need Joe, I need Mary, I need somebody else on the team that's an expert in that area to supplement what I need to make this project successful. And we have a saying inside of Microsoft is become a learn it all, not a know it all. And I think that's one of the things that we kind of think about.
Your leadership philosophy is the three F's: firm, fair, and fun.
Yes.
When you're coordinating across sales, engineering, security, and customer success teams, which F gets sacrificed the first when the pressure hits?
Fun, for sure. Yeah, fun goes out the window, the stress comes in, um, firm has to stay in place because that is the goal, like, we know what the goal is, we know what the outcome that the customer needs or the situation needs, so we've gotta remain pretty steadfast on the firm part. Fair, I'd say equitable in, how who we're giving all the action items to, that's one of those lines, some people have more than other people, and some people are responsible for more, um I try to keep things fun because we're working on these things 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And if you don't have an opportunity just to laugh a little or enjoy the people you're working with, it makes that grind so much harder. But I would say fun, unfortunately, is the one that goes out first.
You say that technology doesn't transform organizations, leaders do.
Yes.
When you have multiple leaders on a cross functional initiative, who really owns the outcome?
Well, it's a great question because ultimately you say, there's one person on the top, and sometimes there's not, right? Sometimes there is a business owner that has the project and it's going to change or transform the business, and there's a business outcome we're trying to get to. And then you have a technology leader who has a different lens on the situation. But really what it comes down to, and kind of what I try to do, is make sure that executive level people that are on that team, the one, two, three leaders, whoever there, we meet regularly to stay on the same page and we talk it out and we kind of have that hard discussion between us. And then when we hit the table and we walk out the door, we're all saying the same things. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have constructive criticism. I mean, I think it's great, and I want to hear all perspectives. But at some point, we have to hit the table and say, okay, here's the decision, and this is what we're going to go do. Whether I agree with it 100%, as long as I'm 80% there, that's fine. I'll withhold my comments.
You've coordinated cybersecurity transformations with CIOs, CISOs, CTOs, boards. What is a most underrated communication practice you use that keeps cross-functional teams from start blaming each other?
Oh, it's a hard one, but it kind of goes back to the fair conversation and the three F's. And the fair, what I like to call that is we need to hear all perspectives, right? Some failures happen and it's okay. Something breaks in the system occasionally and we have to go fix it. It's better to be the person who calls out something happened, explain what happened and how you're going to remediate it versus trying to, I don't know, talk around it, not take responsibility. As long as you're willing to take responsibility for that piece that broke, I think that credibility of you being honest and truthful helps the overall project. And hopefully we only have that failure one time, we learn from it, and we never do it again.
Nick, cross-functional one on meetings.
Yeah,
Cross-functional meetings can be a time black hole. How do
yeah.
you prevent this from happening? How do you maximize time from people when you have a meeting with 25 person with different departments? Some of them has to be there, some doesn't. What's your rule?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm one of those people who hates to have a meeting beforehand to have the meeting. So, you go into a prep meeting to have the meeting. Meetings could suck the life out of you and project timelines and so forth. So, I mean, you've got to have a crystal clear system in place. How are we going to talk about the project? What's the time frame we're going to give each person or each situation? If you require more in this meeting, then we should have a something in the system that says, okay, today we're not going to talk as much about security because there's not much changing, but we need to talk a little bit more about AI. So you have to have a system that's flexible to give people the stage for long enough. Um, but I also started to use a little feature in Teams, which is a clock that goes across the top of the meeting, and you put in simply like 5 minutes. Well, here's your 5 minutes, and you can see you're coming up on red. And it doesn't mean we're cutting you off or you're not important, but we have a lot of pieces that are important, and you have to fit inside that time frame.
Nick, I've started using the feature, the time feature in Teams, and it's a
Yeah.
game changer. Somewhat magically, people stick to the points, and when the time is starting to become red, people hurry up, wrap up, and the next topic is in. Well done on adding this to Teams. Really well done.
Well, my boss and my peers might say that we started using this feature because of me, possibly, because I might go over my time frames. But it's a great. We've actually kind of made it fun. So if you go over your time, you have to put a little few dollars into the kitty, and then at the end, we give all that money to a charity. So if you go over, you have to throw something into that pot, which has kind of helped us stay on track a little bit better.
Lack of ownership, it's a productivity killer. We know
Yes.
that. What do you do when you go into a meeting? There are 5 departments there. There is a topic on the table, and everybody starts saying, "This is not my team. This is not my department. We don't have bandwidth. This is not for me."
There's also times that you have to reevaluate to say, is this project important? Because if we have all of these blockers in the organization, somewhere, this project started for some particular reason, whether it be from the business, from leadership, from the CIO, wherever it came from. But if we start to see that there's so many blockers to something, we have to evaluate, like, is this project really business critical right now if we don't have buy-in from all these groups? Now, if it's something we need to get done, then we have to talk to each individual group separately. And that's kind of what I like to do, is talk to team one about the project's super critical to our business. What can you give us? What can you not give us? And try to fit all of those boundaries into the overall meeting, but then also challenge these teams, right? We get challenged all the time. Yes, this is business critical. I know you're super busy, but we have to get this done. What could we do, or what could we deprioritize in our current workload that will take priority? So it's really just getting to the time, figuring out how we can fit this in time. The other thing I'd say, which is a little newer to our work stream, and I don't think we're all really good at it yet, and I think we'll get better. But where could AI help? Where can an agent come in and do some of this work, or remedial tasks that have to get done? Use the tools that you have to create space and opportunity.
When you're running a cross-functional project, naturally, different teams will have different metrics. Sales might be chasing their sales number, engineering another thing, and security will have different performance metric. How do you align a common goal, incentive, so you avoid that everyone is thinking about their own camp and don't care about the greater good of the initiative?
It's a really great question, and as you add complexity of partner, or, company like Microsoft coming into your project, we have our, specific things that we want to get out of the project. You have things that you want to get out, and other organizations have, their priorities and their metrics. I think it's important to talk about those. I think it's important to set the stage up front and know what people's motivations are. If I know that sales has a motivation around X, that's going to help me define the project a little better. If I know IT has a particular, critical metric in this, if we could talk about all of those openly, and be honest with each other, like, hey, I'm doing really poorly and this is where I'm going to be focusing my time. So if this project doesn't help me, I may not be able to be involved or be involved to the point that you need. Those are important things to know up front and be honest, right? I mean, I think the more you're open and honest with each other, the better outcome you're going to get.
Nick, you were vice mayor of Indian Rocks Beach. I hope I get
Yes.
this right.
Yes.
Now, managing governance and community stakeholders seems to be quite a different thing than managing businesses. What lesson would you take from local government or government work into the corporate boardroom?
Wow. It's super interesting, especially in local government, because you could tell right away by who's attending the meeting what the impact of what you're talking about is going to be. Let's just say hypothetically something was going to happen on street 1, 2, and 3. We're doing some sort of construction or we're going to do some project. The people from 1, 2, 3 would enter that meeting and be very boisterous. Now you have the people who come to every meeting and they have the impact on the meeting and they're informed and they want to be part of it. And that's great. So I would say you could learn a lot by who comes to your meeting and who's prepared of what priority they have on that. It's also probably was a harder job than my corporate career because everywhere you go in a town, it was 5,000, 6,000 people. If my wife and I would go out to dinner, we would get approached. If I'm walking my dog down the street, somebody would come out of their house to talk to you. So you're constantly getting feedback. You're constantly hearing mostly bad. You don't hear the good as often, but mostly the challenges that somebody has. In the corporate world, sometimes when the meeting's over, the meeting's over. But I'd say you could tell a lot by the meeting or the priority by who's showing up for it, who's showing up prepared.
Hmm. Speaking of that, a lot of
Yes.
people say they want collaboration, but a lot of people, what they want is credit. How do you identify who's actually there to really solve the problem versus who's there to get a pat on the back?
Yeah, this is something we talk about a lot is if you're going to be on a team, it's the expectation that we set up front with people. You're not coming to the meeting just to come to the meeting. You have a purpose for being there. You have either an action or a responsibility. And if you're on a sub team from that, whoever's leading that sub team, a part of leading that team is to give feedback on each one of the people who is in that team. So if you come and you're going to be a part of it, up front from our established leadership principles, you are going to have to do X, Y, or Z, or we're not going to have you in this team.
Mentioned AI a couple of times. It's AI making cross functional collaboration easier?
I would say teams in that collaboration platform, like you, I've been in collaboration for, I was around when we first started the BPOS, Office 365 world, and I've been in collaboration a long time. I would say the Teams platform gives us a great place to collaborate. Now, the AI that's sitting in there, the ability to use Copilot to summarize and pull agenda topics and do all of those types of things, that's where I think AI is going to shine in cross functional team output.
You work in cybersec, and security teams have a
Mhm.
reputation for being the department of no. Um, when cross functional collaboration means compromising security, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, well, that's great. That's great that the project needs this and that, but we're not going to cross that line?
Yeah. So the philosophy of Microsoft is secure first, secure by design. And so when we start these projects and initiatives, everybody in that room should have a security hat on, or thinking about security, or what data are we publishing, or where are we getting data? Is that going to compromise something? I think it's important to have it up front, but I think it's important for security also, security teams, to not be the department of no. We have to look for a way to make this work instead of just saying it won't work. And I think that's a transition. It's a transition for a lot of us, right? We're just used to saying, no, this is the way it works, and we're not going to do something here. But um, tools and technology have changed. So we have a little more ability now to be a department who could say, no, but what if we do it this way? No, but how if we treat the data this way, would that still work for you? So I think it's incumbent upon us to, in security, to also be creative as we go forward, because we're solving business challenges. We're solving things that are impactful to our company and our people. We can't just say no by default.
Some productivity experts argue that cross functional teams slow down decision making. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, a lot of alignment. When it's actually smarter to keep a project siloed with one accountable owner?
Um, uh, I think I mean, I personally think there should always be a accountable owner, a DRI, direct responsible individual. There should be somebody in that seat at all times. Um, I think from a silo perspective, from a planning and, envisioning a project, it's okay to kind of think about it that way and kind of get everything on paper and whiteboard and, kind of get your vision mapped out. But once you have that vision and you're going to go from, the envisioning phase into an implementation phase or a design phase, at that point, you could no longer stay in that silo because it's going to have impact to too many other organizations at that point. I think people don't think about HR and finance and how those things could be impacted. And I don't want to slow it down, but I want to make sure I'm crossing T's and dotting I's all the way through, that I'm not going to impact something. My goal is to leave something better than I found it.
With all your experience in cross functional projects and teams, Nick, have you faced a time where you said, well, this is not working? There are too many layers to this. We need to simplify and restart. When do you
Yes.
decide that it's time for a change?
I think there's a couple places. I would say when people are spending too much time trying to solve problems that shouldn't take as much so, like, let me say this a different way. If we're in a churn phase for a long period of time and we're not progressing towards what the ultimate goal is, because everybody is churning on a problem or a solution or potential, or this doesn't impact my area, this impacts my area, there's a point in time right there where you have to call time out and say, okay, it's time to restart what we're doing here. Also, business climates could make changes. If earnings come out and they weren't how we expected, and this project becomes not as important, or if we're looking at technology and there's technology changes that could really redefine this. If we're trying to build something and all of a sudden a agent comes out that could do all this work, then we need to stop and reevaluate. So I think when churn is something I try to avoid too much of, all of the signal to noise, if I'm hearing more noise than signal. But also keeping an eye on what's happening in the industry and the market, so that I know that a technology potentially could help me solve this problem and we don't need to spend as much time on it.
Nick, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
All right, let's go. Let me sit
L-
up for this one.
Leadership gaps are cited as a major reason cross functional work fails.
Yes.
What type of leadership destroys cross functional productivity?
I think we talked about it earlier when people are looking to take credit for something versus actually trying to solve a problem. Um, I think ego and personality could kill a project faster than budget or technology.
And another one,
Just keep going. Wow,
hybrid
curveballs.
work. Hybrid work. This one, hybrid work is a default in 2026 in most
Yes.
companies. Does physical proximity still matter for cross-functional collaboration? Or we have gone through this and what we're doing today, you and I, through a call, it's okay.
Yeah. Um, I'm a fan of hybrid work. I've been doing it before pre-COVID. I've worked from home or from one of our smaller offices for a very long time. I don't think there is um, I don't think there's a time when people getting together still won't be more productive. Like when we're in a room and we're all together, I think sometimes magic happens because you're not distracted by some of the things that are going on in your house. A FedEx package gets delivered, my dog start barking or something of that nature, right? I mean, kids, there's a lot of distractions when you're home and it takes away from that ability. But when I'm working on something and when I'm heads down, I also find that there's distractions in the office where people stop by to say hello that you haven't seen in a while, or hey, we're going to order lunch from so and so, or whatever the interruption is. I find that for me personally, I could dig into something and go harder when I'm in my comfort space here at home that I've created for myself.
Let's do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Answer in 30 seconds or less. Number one, cross-functional meeting or solo deep work? Which one drives more productivity?
Cross functional work, I think, because deep siloed work, um, you're gonna get things done, but I think you're gonna change more when you're together. There's a better opportunity to have change for a positive happen.
Number two, if you had to kill one collaboration tool, I'm
Mhm.
not talking about a software, okay? A tool. Tomorrow that wastes most time, what would it be?
Oh, I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna be unpopular at Microsoft, but I'll say email. I think email is something that kills more time than picking up the phone and setting up a call. Doing video, with each other so you could see tone and inflection and those types of things. I think email is very impersonal and you just don't get that tone or understand if a person's, upset, positive. It's a harder medium in my opinion. And you're talking
I
to
want
somebody
to.
who's been doing email at migrations at Microsoft for a long time.
I'm just curious. I want to throw another one. What about chats, Teams? Do you find
So
them better than emails?
I do because I can answer things quickly. I could get through a lot more chats than I can in emails. Um, And I think my personality comes through better on chat because you have emojicons and other things where you could add something so people kind of, capture your tone a little bit better. So I'm a chat over email person any day of the week.
Hmm. Number three, what's the fastest way to spot a fake cross-functional leader versus someone who actually gets results?
The preparation that they do or don't do for that meeting. If somebody continuously comes in unprepared, late, and doesn't know where we're currently at and what the major problems are, yeah, I get really frustrated by that.
Four, should individual performance reviews exist in cross-functional teams?
Absolutely, yes. If a person is on a team, there should be feedback that's provided on their performance in that team. Absolutely.
Fill in the blank. The death of every cross-functional project I've seen is
Of every that's a big
of
word,
of any.
Eddie, the biggest challenges are time and budget. One of those 2 things, causes challenges. So we aren't delivering on time or the project is going over budget. Those are the 2 things that really concern me about teams.
Nick, let's give some practical advice to our listeners. We have a large audience of people that work in knowledge jobs. If someone is listening us today and they're struggling with cross-functional because they cannot find who's the owner, they're lost. They're like, oh my God, there's so many people. I don't know what this guy is doing. I don't know what this girl is doing. What is your advice to get their head together, to get their life together, and come back and add value in that environment?
Don't be afraid to ask. Like, ask that question of the people that are leading the project. I'm struggling a little bit to understand. I know I could bring value to this project, but I don't understand where I fit or how I fit into this project. It's okay to ask because that will take away the stress it's causing you or the upset it's causing you. And the person who or people that are in charge of the project should be able to redirect you because they brought you on that project or you were put on that project for a reason. A leader thought you had the skill set or you were going to develop this skill set. So somebody believes in you. And now you just need to get a little bit of clarity. It's okay to ask. I mean, I do it all the time. I ask questions and be vulnerable. It's okay.
Um, Nick, how can people get in touch with you? I know you have a newsletter, which a ton of thought leadership. I discovered it a month ago and I immediately subscribe. How is it called? How can people subscribe?
Yeah, you can find it on my LinkedIn, and it's called The Leadership Lens. I like to do photography as well, so it just kind of combined two things for me. But subscribe to it there. And again, if you've read the last few, what I try to do is keep it fun, keep it light, but put in, some real world things that are happening at the time. I think my last one was Tom Brady, maybe the best quarterback of all time, we could argue. Had a little Super Bowl in the mind, but he talked about all of the things that he failed at and how he had to work to get to where he is. So I try to keep it fun and light, and you could find me on LinkedIn. I do my best to answer people's questions in chat, but it gets a little overwhelming at times. And if I don't get to you that day you sent it, usually weekends are my time to do as much answering as possible, but I try my best.
Nick, who are you rooting for this Sunday on the big game?
Um, I don't I'm more of a college football fan. So I think I will probably be rooting for the Seahawks just because I lived in Seattle for a while and used to go to some games. Even though I'm from New England, I was more of a, New York sports fan than Boston sports fan. So I think I think it'll be the Seahawks.
Well, let the best one win and
That's
and
a
take
great game. Nobody gets hurt and everybody, that's everybody leaves and the game isn't decided by the referees. How about that?
Nick, thank you so much for this insightful conversation. I'm taking a couple of things away today. The number one is that the best recipe for cross-functional work is clarity, trying to be clear on what you're trying to achieve. And the second one is that it's okay to ask. You just said it. Sometimes you tend to absorb a lot of things for yourself and you get all these troubles in your head. Oh my God, what did he mean? What does this other team wants? And as I said to many of my team members, the answer is just one team's message away. Nick Palomba, thank you so much for being with us today. Good luck on the big game and a lot of success with whatever you do.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. And, you know, company to company, you're a great business partner and you guys work really hard. And it's always enjoyable to work with you, your team, your company. So thank you for being a great customer as well. And thanks for having me.
I have assessed over 500 executives on their productivity, and the top 10 all have something in common. They score high across 4 specific vectors: efficiency, effectiveness, ownership, and well-being. When these 4 align, you just don't lead better. You create compounding advantages that separate exceptional leaders from good ones. Take my 5-minute free assessment, and you will see exactly how you compare. Most leaders are shocked by what they discover. Find out where you stand at the link below. Thanks for listening to Productivi-Tree. I hope you found something useful in today's episode. If you did, and it helps improve your life even a tiny bit, that'll make me really happy. Remember, you can find Productivi-Tree on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with a friend who might also find it helpful? Until next time, and keep growing and stay productive.